How you doing? Back in front of the cameras again.
Yep, on the Monday following the Highland Games weekend.
So it's been eventful, I'm led to believe.
Yes, eventful, busy.
So just give a wee overview then. This is the busiest weekend of the year for Arran.
Yep, there's the Highland Games on. Every boat's full with walking capacity as well as cars. There's no accommodation available. If you haven't booked, you're not getting fed. And with it, it brings a whole host of different types of people as well. You get a full range of kind of the echelon of Arran visitors. Yes. Oh, it's a tough week. And I think everybody in the island will say it. You know, all hospitality venues will be in the same boats. You know, even the self-catering apartments really feel it at this time of year. They're just kind of the pressures that all mount to this 1 week. And now we're over it. You know, this is the hump week of the year. I think whilst it's still going to maintain being busy for the next good few months, this is kind of the pinnacle of the season.
So then it means it's going to be the highest stress, the most amount of pressure in a business like this.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And along with it, we've had a number of problems, a number of issues, and I don't want to say failures, but it's highlighted some weaknesses within our systems. And unfortunately, we've had to let down a number of people this week. Kind of basically, to be honest, actually with our booking system. I think we've had a number of issues this week. That we've had a couple of double bookings. We've had bookings that have been not on the system. You know, we just have to hold our hands up and say there have been mistakes made, particularly this week. It hasn't really been an issue so far in the season, but I think with the pressures and the stress and how busy we've been, there have been mistakes made.
And can you pinpoint how they were made?
To be honest, I think it's probably down to trying to process bookings whilst you're busy with service itself. We don't have someone dedicated to be answering the phone and taking bookings, and it's potential that actually it could even be like a drop in Wi-Fi for that second that you press save on our booking system, because we use an online system. We use Simply RB, which is part of the 5 p.m. kind of faculty. You know, unless you're there to notify it, and it's just shown that even when we're busy, we need to be able to take that extra 10-15 seconds to just make sure that what we've done is there. It's so difficult when you're dealing with a full restaurant and you're running around backwards and forwards, kind of just, you know, providing the service to the people in here. It's really hard to answer the phone and follow through the steps, the processes to ensure that it's there. And we just have to hold our hands up and say that mistakes have been made. There's maybe been some complacency. It's potential. We've been rebuilding the back office of the booking system. Likewise, kind of with all our systems, they've been set up but built upon by previous management, but as we've developed over the years, and so it's not quite coherent. So I've been working with Simple over the last kind of 10 days, trying to bring it back to kind of a coherent pattern, make sure it's logical so that it works for us. And I just wonder if there's just been the gaps that have allowed things to happen. And unfortunately this week was the week that it showed that it wasn't quite there for us. But it shows that, you know, we need those systems in place, and we need those systems to work for us. And they've got to be easy to use. They've got to be easy for us, they've got to be easy for the customer. And without actually having mistakes made or double bookings or anything else, you don't know where the weaknesses or the holes are. Because you can think it's perfect plain sailing when you're just brushing on the top, when you're actually pushing something to its capacity. And you stress it and you tense it. That's where we've seen the gaps fall. You know, when we've had 87 people booked into the system, you know, we've had 36 seats. That's from 4 o'clock right through to 9 o'clock, turning tables, everything else, and using the booking system to manage to work out how we're dealing with our people, instead of because we're now being proactive with how we're taking our customers rather than just being reactive to walk through the doors. And it has shown the weaknesses in the areas that we need to develop upon, both through our systems and our training, and just our personal stress management as well. Because whilst we're all very used to dealing with lots of people and being very busy, when it is this compounded and it's stretched out all day, it's not just centralised between evening service, and people are working long shifts, you know, everybody else is out socialising, everything else. This week really adds something extra to the pressures of what hospitality are. Yeah, so I have to apologise on behalf of us for the people that we have upset and the kind of mistakes we've made, but also thank everybody that's come in and enjoyed themselves, and you know, nearly everybody's been really happy with what we've done, but we do have to say that, you know, it wasn't perfect. Yeah. Staff have done a huge job this week, and the pressure's on them as well. Niggles between staff as well, you know, all it takes is the wrong thing, the wrong decision made, and it starts crumbling. But we're through this weekend. Hugs have been made, hands shaken. Yeah, we know what we'll do tomorrow. But yeah, so.
It's been very interesting from my point of view because I haven't been here for about 10 days maybe, and walking into the place on Saturday had a very different feel to it. I mean, without speaking to anybody, I could tell that things just weren't running as smoothly as they might be, you know, and within a very short space of time, just kind of got the feel for what was going on. But one of the key factors actually, and obviously, you know, the booking system is one part of it. One of the real issues we've got is with regard to equipment, because one of the things that really impacted in the kind of cycle, if you like, that became the stressy weekend was the fact that we've got, you know, one of the fryers is down, we just can't get it to hold its temperature, and the salamander grill keeps going out. And this has been an ongoing problem, but it's been escalating, getting worse, and we have not been able to get the engineers over to sort it out. And that's a combination of them being busy and trying to get vehicles on the boats, because the boats are all fully booked, and just a whole host of factors. And what I took on from this weekend, and having chatted to everybody, is, you know, the absolute imperative of getting these things dealt with the very moment something goes wrong, or even before they've gone wrong. You know, it's being completely proactive in our equipment maintenance rather than allowing things to go wrong. Because we've got such a small kitchen, we can't double up. We don't have spares, we don't have any storage space to keep spare equipment. And that certainly exacerbated things this weekend. Yeah. So there's a bit of a takeaway there in terms. I mean, we know this anyway, but most of the year you can get by muddling along, and if it takes a few weeks for someone to come out to get one of the fryers sorted, that's fine, because, you know, but actually, no.
The thing is, like, it's really hard, because we were really proactive at the beginning of the season. We got everything serviced, everything checked, we did everything we could to kind of preempt the problems we might get. But then once again, we're at capacity. You know, everything is being pushed beyond what it was ever expected to do. You know, the same as our seats, the same as our cutlery, the same as all our glasses, crockery, everything. We're doing more than what it was ever really designed to do. And it just gets to that point where it's like, I can't do this anymore. And when it's the salamander, you know, we ended up having to pull some of our specials because we quite simply, you know, we couldn't do them properly. And so it was like, I'm sorry guys.
What's the salamander used to make?
It's a grill. It's an industrial grill. So things like the langoustines, the lobsters that we had on specials this weekend. We use it for the sea bass, which is or any of our market fish. Basically anything that isn't to be pan fried or char grilled or in the fryer. We use it there. We use it for hot holding, melting cheese. It's quite an imperative piece of equipment. And once it's gone, and it wasn't even like we just didn't have it. It's that you'd be cooking with it, you'd go to check on your food and it's not cooked, it's blown out. It takes 10 minutes to reset, turn it back on. It takes a good 5-10 minutes to get back up to temperature. That's half an hour's worth of service gone. It puts the delay on it. You've got full restaurant tables coming in, blah 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 blah. It compounds the whole issue. It really does. Yeah. And I know that we're not the only establishment with it. Other establishments have equipment failures too, so I know that it's not just us. But it's a huge stressor to what we're trying to do.
It is, and I think one of the key things that customers' expectations. We've worked hard to build a really good reputation, and we do have a really good reputation, like many of the other establishments on the island. So people are coming with high expectations, and if as a result of things just not going well, we end up falling short of those expectations, then it's disappointing. It's disappointing for everybody, and the customer feels it, we feel it, the whole morale in the staff suddenly is impacted, because instead of having really happy customers going out the door raving about us and telling their friends and wanting to come back, it just
falls short. Yeah. And especially going back to the staff morale, all of our friends and family are coming in to enjoy themselves this weekend. They're here to have drinks, they're here for food, they're here to enjoy the music. We're working. We want to be able to enjoy the weekend by providing, ensuring that everybody else is enjoying themselves. That's what, that's where we get our kicks from doing this. We don't get to go out and socialise, because by the time we've closed, every other establishment is already called last orders. So we don't get to go out and enjoy the weekend. We just get to make sure everybody else does. And if we're not feeling good about it, or we're not quite happy about how the customers had their experience or their food or anything, it's deflating.
One positive that I would really lean heavily on out of this actually is how quickly that wobble has been recovered.
Yeah.
And I think that points towards the commitment of the team, the degree to which the team are invested in getting it right. I mean, it hits a team hard when things go wrong, but then there has to be that resilience, that kickback that says, right, okay, what went wrong? Right, okay, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. Let's do everything possible to make sure that doesn't happen again. So, and my role in that, because I'm responsible for the equipment, so I've been on the phone this morning, managed to get a hold of our engineer, managed to get him to come over actually, even without his van, with a backpack with the parts that are needed to come and fix the machines, having kind of laid it on a bit heavy, obviously after the events of the weekend. But that then also gives everyone the reassurance that this is going to be dealt with. But I have to take ownership of that. It's like, I should have dealt with this weeks ago. Do you know what I mean? If I'm being completely honest about it, that's my role in the scheme of things, but I let it slip. So in the same way that I could look at any of the events that have happened and say, well, somebody should have done this or somebody should have done that, well, I've had a part to play in that too. So, there is no finger pointing here. It's just, right, what do we need to do to sort this out and make sure that, it doesn't happen again.
Does industrial kitchen equipment come with maintenance contracts and uptime guarantees?
We wish. It maybe does if you're dealing on a bigger scale.
I think a bigger scale when you're not on a rock in the sea.
Right.
And you don't rely on CalMac.
So even if you had the strongest maintenance contract, you still got CalMac to deal with?
The cranny is down 2 fryers and an oven this weekend as well. I've had a couple of staff members in here saying they've had the exact same. They have 3 huge kitchens. They must have huge contracts to deal with, and yet they still struggle. So, and the Douglas talking, they've had to bring in extra small equipment to bulk up what they've got, just in the eventuality that something fails. It's great having a good working relationship with other staff at other establishments, because you do get to kind of get an insight about what's going on. And if they're struggling, they're much bigger operations than we are. It's not just us. Like,
I mean, it takes me back to the days when I worked offshore. I was navigator on seismic survey vessels, and obviously you're away from port. You have to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and we just had to have double of everything. Of every piece of equipment, we'd have a spare, which would either be new, or then it gets swapped out, and then we'd recondition or repair, and always had to have a backup. And the irony of this is, it's like I'm almost thinking it's got to be run that way. It's like we almost need to have, for this time of year, double the capacity, but we don't have the space. So it's then there's a knock-on kind of consideration.
Even with that, it's the food. I've run out of fish. By dinner time service tonight, I probably won't have, or our kitchen won't have any haddock, any market fish. We might have some langoustines left, depends how well they go today. But it's simply because we don't have the storage capacity. We filled everything to the gunnels for the weekend. We're literally scraping the bottom of the cupboards now.
That's kind of a good.
It's excellent. It is excellent. But again, it's like the consistency coming in. We're full. It's Monday night. Music again tonight. We're all will we fill again?
It's one of the features of island life that people, I think, on holiday maybe just don't fully appreciate, because they're used to going to restaurants on the mainland, and whilst we can certainly match their expectations with regard to the quality of the food and the service, apart from when things go wrong, it's deliveries. It's like we just don't get the same delivery schedule that a place on the mainland does. So we get huge peaks and a much bigger stock variation, because we just don't get it every on a daily basis. So yes, we are a restaurant on a rock in the sea, and yes, we do run out of things.
Yeah. Yep. Or we don't get deliveries. We didn't get any shahalian this week. I asked for it. It's not even on our line. And it's kind of those, I wouldn't have not ordered it. I definitely know for a fact that I wouldn't have not ordered it. Coming into the biggest weekend of the year, I probably put, everything that I've ever got on the fact that I ordered it last week.
You probably just ticked every box in your order sheet.
Yeah. Luckily we were fine. We did have enough. I was kind of over anticipating. I really didn't want us to run out of anything this week, and we haven't done, which has been great. But had the potential to. Yeah. So, yeah. It's all fun and games. Yeah.
We survived.
Yeah. We've survived. Yeah. And if anything, it just shows that actually we are thriving. That, how quickly we've come through the week. It's Monday again.
Yeah.
It only felt like 2 days ago that it was Monday last week, and that we were going, Highland Games this weekend.
The hospitality hamster wheel.
Yeah. It's when I'm sat with all the cash from the weekend across the desk on a Monday morning, and it's like, we're here again. What week of the year are we on? I don't know. Yeah. It's fine. 2 weeks time, got another bank holiday. 2 weeks after that, it's another bank holiday. Scottish Guilds go back next week. The English in only 3 weeks time. It's nearly September. Start planning Hogmanay.
October 1st.
Nah, we need to get Hogmanay in the first.
Really?
Organised and advertised. Because whilst October's busy, we don't have anything special events-wise. Whilst we've got school holidays to deal with and everything else, that's just another day at the shop. I think it's now, let's actually think towards the Christmas and Hogmanay period, which is where the next stressor will be, because we've got the compound of the weather. So we've got to really preempt what's going to happen. And whilst it's 4 months away, 4 months ago was not that long ago.
It was only 4 months ago. Well, this has been great. I think there's a lot of value here in what you've both had to talk about. And thank you for sitting down and chatting.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to be here and do this. Yeah,
My pleasure.
It's great. Very good.